Hello, welcome to the SBO community call. Today is April 21st, and we're going to start by looking at the agenda and see if we see any announcements. I think we should probably announce, Andy, that you're done, the UPR got merged, and will be probably part of the 1.1. It's about workload resource mapping. It's been a long effort with a lot of reviewers and Andy doing the development. So thank you to everyone that contributed. I know this was quite an effort.
Yeah, that certainly was not an easy task to get off the ground, but I for one am happy it's done and merged.
Yep. Just for the folks in the call, if you find any gaps, if you see any regression, since that was a lot of code, I mean, Andy has gone through the diligence of testing, etc. But there's always a chance that there might be a regression somewhere. So if you find that, let's see if we can figure out a way to add a test case to make sure we cover that. Right. So let's any discussions that anyone wants to get into other than issue triage? All right, let's take a look at the issues. So for that, I'm gonna go over here. All right. 17 issues. Is there any way to know today which one has been triaged already and which one has not been triaged? Am I audible?
Yes.
All right.
I think we tag them with labels here on GitHub.
So this ones have been looked at, I
Someone
guess.
please keep me honest here.
So is it fair to say
Yes.
that all these have been looked at already?
I think so, yes.
Okay, and then maybe we should take a look at this over here. All right, this was opened recently, for example. So, oh, this is open a long time ago. Yeah.
2 years ago.
Documentation. These have been all a long time ago. So let's see if they're relevant. Anyone recent? Yeah.
I think those more recent issues, like 1088 and newer, um, I don't think those have gone through refinement.
How come they have a kind bug label?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Actually, the first one I already reviewed, and there were some problems with the CI, and so I let it go, and then I forgot about it. So that PR is, that issue has attached a PR, which I'm talking about, and I think it's ready for that the PR, which is reference, is good enough to be merged.
So you have a PR right here. Okay.
Yeah. As I said, it was like a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not sure right now what the status is. But I have approved it. Don't know why it didn't get merged, but
So it's still open. There's a change in the samples.
right. The acceptance tests OpenShift CI, one of them failed. That's why it didn't get merged. So I will retest it, and it should get merged, and the issue should be closed by that.
Okay. So, how do we trigger retest with the bot retest?
No, the retest only works for the OpenShift CI. If you want to, in general, if you want to retest the GitHub Actions, you need to go to the Actions, and there is a possibility now to rerun jobs or rerun just the failed jobs. But in case of OpenShift CI job, you can do the retest command.
So in this case, it's not the which one of the ones failing.
It fails the OpenShift CI. I've already put the command. Right. So GitHub Actions are all fine.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
one of the OpenShift CI jobs failed, so I rerun them by the retest.
Okay. So they should be taken care of soon. In other words, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Let's go back to this one then. I'd rather look at the recent ones. Let's go back here. Okay, how about this one, the RabbitMQ? One point zero, is the stuff to reproduce? The title is not very useful, but okay, let's see what he does to reproduce it. Anyone looked at this before? So Paddington application. Let's see. Deployment config.
From what I understand, granted it has been a month and a half since this issue was filed, and I last looked at it. Basically, they want the ability to set or have the type fields of a service binding and or indicate which protocol they should be using. Right now, RabbitMQ just kind of exposes that they set type to be RabbitMQ, which for them wasn't what they were hoping for. I just told them you could manually override it using an annotation.
So basically, it defaults to AMQP, right? So whenever this happens, this RabbitMQ service is annotated, right? So I'm guessing that we did the annotation for this resource already.
As far as I'm aware, we just hand it off. We just hand off the secret because RabbitMQ is one of the few operators that we can that are
Oh,
actually
provision
provision
service.
services.
Oh, okay.
Because this is VMware and they kind of push for it internally to get it
Yeah.
going.
So it's basically up to the service what they want to expose there, right? Not up to us.
Yes.
So we have no idea what the service wants to expose in the secret. So he expects, let me see. The type matches the protocol. Okay. So, and the type in this case is just RabbitMQ, is all he's saying?
The bug is basically type is RabbitMQ. I was expecting a generic
AMQP, right?
Yeah, or MQTT or whatever protocol we should be using.
But this should be a bug not against service binding. This should be a bug against RabbitMQ, right?
Probably.
So what is he saying? Right.
It all kind of boils down to how you interpret what type should actually mean. Do we use it to indicate like the service provider? No, because we have provider fields for that.
Right.
Do we use it to indicate, okay, I'm specifically running at RabbitMQ, so I can adapt my application to talking specifically to RabbitMQ versus, a generic MQTT or AMQP provider.
Right.
Maybe that's something we want to support.
Yeah, but what does the spec says on this?
I'm pretty sure the spec is silent on the
that
semantic meaning of what provider type.
On purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to the service provider to say whatever they mean. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's probably that's probably going to be one of the things that the spec might need to take a stand eventually, right? Because if people are confused and using multiple ways, then eventually the spec is going to have to say, yeah, let's just say it means protocol, right? Like, for example, MySQL versus MariaDB, right?
What's inherently the difference between them?
From a connection point of view, right? It's the same. From a client connection point of view, it's the same. So that's what matters to the customer at the end. This is a good issue, I think, but we should probably
just spitballing ideas here. Maybe it's worth it to have a protocol field that we mandate in the spec and say, okay, this is the protocol we're expecting you to talk over for applications that support talking multiple protocols, because there's some services where it doesn't really make sense to have support for this because like Postgres only speaks Postgres's wire protocol.
Right. Oh, look at this comment from Baju. So we can override it if you want to. I didn't know that. On service binding object itself. Where do we have that?
No, you just set it as type provider in the field. Interesting.
Where?
You just set type and provider as part of the
CRD. As part of the CRD.
Interesting. I was not aware of that.
So that was
the type. Okay, it's optional, but I remember type being mandatory. Like the type is mandatory.
Yeah, it was
optional.
It was mandatory for a while. We changed that. I can't remember.
You mean in spec, right? Oh, it's a 1V beta. Okay. So
this is a service binding object. So this is not the service itself, right? So we can overwrite whatever we bind. So basically, regardless of what the secret has, we're not gonna put whatever's in the secret. We're gonna put whatever the user puts in here.
Provided they set it,
Oh,
of course.
Wait a second. The type in the service binding itself, like object, is optional. What about the binding, projected binding data? The type is also there, and I guess it is mandatory, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
mandatory in the projected data.
yeah.
Correct. Yes.
We require that it exists in one form or another. And provided we're pulling from a provision service, we basically require you to have it there. This is probably an overriding mechanism more than anything
Right,
else.
Yeah. So I think this answers the. From our point of view, we actually do better than I was expecting. Then, right? So even if the service says no, my type of provider is this, you can override it to say AMQP. Yeah. And then your client side will continue working abstract from provider, right? Is RabbitMQ one of the? I'm guessing RabbitMQ is one of the many implementations for AMQP, right? And then RabbitMQ is a entity or is just a project?
I think RabbitMQ is the vendor. No.
It's also a company.
It was. They were bought out by VMware a couple of years ago. Now it's a VMware kind of brand.
So I mean, I could see how VMware could say RabbitMQ provider VMware. Know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's why it could get confusing. But okay, so this one, I think we spent quite a bit on this one. So I think you answered the question here. So I don't know what we want to do with let's wait for feedback from the gentleman. Kissing Red Hat.
I suspect this issue is probably good to close.
Yeah, if he doesn't answer, do we have like an automatic close? Because I mean, let's give him a chance to feedback, right? Because this looks to me like a good enough answer.
Yeah, I don't. We don't have like a stale issue bot, and
We don't.
I'd like to. We do not, and
Should we?
I don't think we should, because
Okay.
if we need to keep track of long-term issues, those just slip through the cracks.
Yeah. If someone is actually actively working on it, the bot wouldn't close it, right? So if someone is commenting back and forth, it's only become a stale issue if there's no comments and people can reopen issues, right? I don't know. It's up to us. Right now, it's not a problem because we only have how many? 17 issues. So I'm okay leaving this. Okay, let's give him more time. If we see feedback from him saying, "Oh, okay, this is good," then we can close it, all right? Since he was the one that opened it. I don't know. What do you guys say?
I think it's good to close, but that's just my opinion. It's
Okay. Yeah, this is a non-issue. The open Bacardi key. Are we planning to do something on this?
As part of this, we are only going to mention the workaround in the documentation.
In the
We are
documentation?
not right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a very good description. Oh no, this is the service binding, not this one. Okay. I was like, okay. Okay. So maybe just whenever you send the PR for that, link it to this one, right? So
Yeah.
we go from there. Yeah, I think this is good. People look at this one. Let me take a look. CRC, okay. Redis, okay. Okay. Service binding, Redis binding. The application is a Can you use plural here? Or does it have to be the singular for the resource?
Trying to remember. Think we allow plural?
I always
Well,
seen it as a plural.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I've seen it as singular actually. I've seen I use singular all the time.
And it works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm pointing to a single deployment, right? In this
Sure.
case, I'm not pointing to labels, so ID kind name. So there's a Redis object somewhere. What is expected behavior? The service binder pair should create a binding, okay. And then there's an error. Okay. It's not found. So Redis secret is probably referenced somewhere in the annotations, right?
Under the path.
Right, right. So he's getting a specific CRD of definition, and then he sees that, right? And then Redis secret is not found. So I don't know what to do there. What do you guys think? Oh, currently binding to Redis CR for optional. Oh, so this is one of those problems, right?
This. I feel like there's not a whole lot we can do on this because we can't do anything if they don't provide a secret for us.
Yeah, the question
Okay,
is how
okay.
does the Redis exposes the password if it's not through a secret? What do? They print it in the screen?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe there is an option that you do not require the password to access it, right? Like unsecured. service.
Unsecure? Oh, okay.
So you have an option to secure it or keep it unsecured, right?
So
Both-
it'll work if the password. It'll work if this is empty. In other words, right? So in that case, the client should be able to connect without that value, right?
Well, in case of password, yes, but in general terms, an empty string might be a valid value.
Right. So we have three states. We have the state where someone, in general, right? Someone does have the mapping, and it's an empty string. Someone does not have the mapping, and then the mapping is there with something other than empty. So you want to distinguish between empty and not there. How do we do that then? Let's see, has there been any comment? Oh, okay. So we're still discussing it, I guess. February. So maybe we should. Maybe we should do something about this. What's the expected behavior that he explains? So yeah. Right. Right. How about we don't? I think we could fix it if we say, well, then there's no binding for that at all. Would that fix it?
You mean like
Like not
No,
have it in the
not
binding. Don't
include
put
it.
passer, right? That would be a good state, right?
right in this implementation? Yeah, but we need to make it a general case, right? So
Yeah, yeah. General.
basically, we want to, or I don't know if we want to, but we might want to provide a way how to define, that the argument is optional, which means that whatever you specify in a path, if it doesn't exist right now, it fails or something else. I don't know, but
Right.
that's probably not defined well. But in case that it is not there, right, and we do not like the default value is as it is now, or
Right.
throw or fail or change the conditions that it doesn't exist or something. But we might want to
Also fail.
additional
Some cases.
Oh no! I mean the other way. We might also want to make it mark it as an optional
Right.
data. So something like if it is there, bind it. If it is not there, just skip it and do not
Don't use it.
create
I
one,
agree.
right? Something like that.
And if it's not optional, we fail basically.
We fail,
if it's
yeah,
not there.
exactly.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That sounds reasonable to me.
To keep compatibility with previous resources, optionality should be something we opt into for resources, not opt out. So yes,
But
we
if
should add
we
something
make
an
that
optional
logic,
tag.
oh, go ahead, Andy. What was that?
We,
last thing?
we should add something like an optional tag.
Yes,
Like
that's my point. Yeah. We have
Like-
path, we have object type, source key, blah blah. So we can
So,
introduce
optional
additional
flow.
optional tag. Or
Okay.
something.
So I think that could be a good thing to tackle, to fix. I mean, especially someone that's trying to use it, man. This is I would try if we're customer focused. This is one of those times where we probably want to respond to this and say, hey, yeah, we're planning to do this, right? Obviously, this is not gonna fix you. We're gonna have to change the annotations in the Redis. Who did the annotations for Redis? We did.
Yes, I believe that those annotations are this Redis operator
So
is one of
we
the
could
supported
change.
one.
So we
can
could change.
our registry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we can change it as well there. So I think this could be something we can fix then. Anyone has any problem with that approach?
and I don't.
We don't have much of the audience now. It's just a few of us, I guess.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, it's time. But yeah, this is if you guys want, I can document what we just talked about here in this issue, and then we can have someone raise a PR. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just create we should create an issue as a feature request, right? And then based on that, send the PR.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. All right, guys.
We are over time.
We're over time. Thank you for joining. Have a good rest of the morning or afternoon, wherever you are. Take care.